From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Chris Terrell Podcast. And I am your host, Chris Terrell, and welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now. Don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson out of it. That's your reward for your troubles. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down again. And then I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my system of belief. Yeah, it was time-consuming, it was arduous, and seriously, did I mention it was time-consuming? It took years to change all those things. And now I'm here each week, spending even more years helping people like you get the same results in your life. I've been doing this show for years now. If you go back in the podcast, you'll find where I recorded a few years ago saying I ain't going anywhere. I'm still here going along on this journey with you. You still going with me? Are we moving forward together? You see, you and I are on the same journey. I just got a multi-year head start on many of you. Some of y'all, though, are right behind me, and I'm discovering some of y'all are ahead of me in life. So, hey, this is pretty cool. We're all just on this journey called life, trying to figure out how to get to where we're going in a way that we enjoy the most. Now, something I have realized, though, over these last few years of working with people with weight loss is I have discovered the number one reason why people fail at weight loss. The number one reason why people fail, and it has nothing to do with food, and it has nothing to do with exercise. Now, before I tell you what it is, I'd like to first invite you to come join my free Facebook group. You can find a link to that by going to christerrellcoaching.com. And you can also find a link to it in the show notes of the podcast. And the doors to the guild are closed right now, but if you'd like to get on the wait list to find out when the guild doors open up again, you can head on over to theguildofchampions.com, click I'm not a guild member, and there you can get your name put on the wait list, and we will let you know when the doors are open again. All right, let's get to the podcast. The number one reason people fail at weight loss has nothing to do with food or with exercise. It is all in the mind. It is all in the mind. I realized on my own journey, I was not changing myself. I was just trying to change my food, and it wasn't working. Let's crack this open, some of these shifts that I discovered in this week's episode of the podcast. And maybe, just maybe, this will help you spot some things you're doing, and maybe you can reduce some of that, I hate using the word, but I'm going to use it, self-sabotage that's going on in your life. The mind plays a pivotal role in weight loss. I begin every episode of the podcast talking about how we are a byproduct of our lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and system of beliefs. All of these things exist in your mind. We can see some of them in the real world. For example, I could just observe you and I could observe your routines, but I can't see your thoughts. I won't know what your belief systems are. And your routines, you're only firing them off because it lives in your head. It's a pattern. Your life is lived and ruled by patterns, and you must change the patterns to get new results. And the patterns live in your mind. You see, weight loss is like 90% mental. If you don't change your thoughts, your results won't change. If you don't change your thoughts, your results won't change. Albert Einstein knew this, smart fella, that guy. He said, you can't solve your problems with the same thinking you used when you created them. If you want to get results you've never had before, you're going to have to do things you've never done before. And to get yourself to do things that you've never done, you're going to have to think thoughts you've never thunk. You're going to have to literally have your brain think things you don't think right now. Have you ever noticed, like, you'll go online and you'll come across an inspirational quote and you're like, oh, that felt good to have that thought just flutter across my mind. We call it inspiration porn, right? It feels good to think empowering thoughts. And a thought can be planted in your mind. I could say something to you and plant a thought in your mind. Like I could mention flamingos. Were you thinking of flamingos a second ago? Did you know flamingos are pink? They're goofy looking birds, flamingos. See, you're thinking of them. I'm planting the thought in your mind. And you can have an empowering thought planted in your mind by reading it, and it will feel good. But that does not mean you think that way. Would you have thought that thought by yourself without having read the thing you read? You've got to change how you think. So literally these empowering thoughts come across your mind automatically. And one of the other things to do is to create awareness to how the mind works. Has anybody ever sat you down and explained to you how to think, how your mind works? Many of you might be like, well, I know how to do that. What do you mean? I know how to think. I'm alive. I know how to breathe too. You can teach me how to breathe? Well, yeah, actually, there's a whole thing around breathing. Have you ever been taught about diaphragmatic breathing? Do you know what that is? As a singer, I was trained in college and I took voice lessons in high school, and I was taught how to breathe. Many a session was literally nothing more than me demonstrating to my voice coach that I know how to breathe correctly. Because if you can't breathe correctly, you can't sing correctly. So yeah, just like you might need to be taught how to breathe at a higher level to get a higher level of performance, you need to be taught how to think different to get to think at a different level to get a different level of performance. One of the things that you must create awareness to if you want to change the results in your life is you must create awareness to the fact that you are not letting your thoughts be fully under your control. You are allowing your thoughts to be the plaything of others. Many people on a weight loss journey will discover that their thoughts are actually the plaything of the scale. They'll get on the scale, it goes up, now they think nice thoughts. They get on the scale, it goes down, now they think poor thoughts. And it's unpleasant to think these negative thoughts. It doesn't feel good to do it. But it happens because the scale, I don't get on the scale anymore because it makes me think this way. Really? Are you telling me the scale has the ability to crack open your skull and control your thoughts? No, it cannot. What happens is you see the results on it and you think something. And you could think something else. You can actually choose what you are going to focus on. But many people aren't aware of that. If a person understands it, they're like, I get you. That's right. Preach it. And then if somebody doesn't get it, they get a little offended. What do you mean I'm in control of my thoughts? What do you mean? This person totally made me mad. What do you mean? The scale went up. It makes me feel bad. Who is actually making you feel bad, though? Is it the scale? Or is it the thoughts that you're thinking when you look at the scale? Let's get more specific. Is it the thoughts, just general thoughts, or is it the story you're telling yourself? And you're reacting to the story in your mind. Consider that often in your life, you're not reacting to what is happening, but rather you're reacting to the story that you are explaining to yourself in your mind and the meaning that you're giving the things in the mind. One of the biggest things that holds you back from where you want to go in the mind is fear. Fear is often what is holding people back. Now, many fears we can trace back to one of just a handful, maybe like a fear of a loss of life or a fear of a loss of love. You'll find that often stress is actually fear. You say, I'm stressed. No, you're afraid. No, I'm running late to a meeting. I'm so stressed. No, you're afraid of how people are going to react when you get to the meeting. Fear is a thing that shows up for many humans, probably all of us, and we have to work our way through it. And some of us, we work our way through it at a younger age. Some of us, we work our way through it later on in life. Some of us, we work our way through it, then we regress and fall under the spell of fear again. You see, one of the telltale signs of a person that is living their life under the spell of fear is they might say something like, I've never been able to lose weight, so why even try? A person saying that more than likely is under the spell of fear. Or perhaps this one, I can't stick to anything long term. Consider that that person more than likely is making decisions while under the spell of fear. I can't stick to anything long term, pointing to a fear of what? A fear of failure, a fear of setting off to do something and then not being able to do it, and maybe having to come face to face with themselves in the mirror and seeing their own inadequacies, their own inability to do that which they wish that they could do. One of the things that can really help a person if they're trying to push through these fear-limiting beliefs is to write them down onto a piece of paper. Write it down. I am afraid of this happening. What am I afraid will happen? And if you can't do that, say, what do I not want to do? What are the things that I am concerned will happen into the future? You can look to your past. I failed before. Find your failures in the past. Maybe you could learn how to handle the future by practicing on the real world that's already occurred. You could do it on the pages of a book, an empty book. Sometimes we call it a journal. And you could write down, I have failed before, and then cross it out and write underneath, I've learned another way not to lose weight, and I'm ready to try again differently. You see, I had decided at the beginning of my weight loss journey that I was going to take what I call the Edison approach to weight loss. We all know the story of Thomas Edison. He didn't come up with 9,999 failures. He came up with 9,999 ways not to make a light bulb until he found the 10,000th way, which was the way to make a light bulb. I realized in my past, all it was a string of different experiments. I tried to lose weight this way, didn't work. I tried to lose weight this way, didn't work. I tried to lose weight this way, didn't work. And rather than identifying with that and saying, therefore I am a failure, therefore this means I am destined to fail, I could leave my future more optimistic. I could leave my future more hopeful and say, I have just found another way not to lose weight. Let's go try something else. Let's find a new experiment to run. And let's be willing to get up one more time than we fall. Because if I get up one more time than I fall, I will be amazed at just how far I will go towards my goal. But there's another mind thing that you got to do. If you want to get past the mind and get to where you want to go, you must utilize one of the mind's most powerful tools at its disposal. And that is the powerful tool of imagination. You must leverage your imagination and visualize within your mind's eye the end goal. You should be able to close your eyes and see it. Now, many people will say it is going to be a number on the scale. Chris, I want to see this number on the scale, but consider this. That number on the scale is just but a moment in time. What about 6 months after that? Don't just decide what you want your life to be at the moment you see the lowest number on the scale. What do you want your life to be like 3 years after you have lost all the weight? What do you want your life to be like a year after you have lost all the weight? What do you want your life to be like 5 years after you have lost all the weight? Your visualizations of the future must take those into account. Because every decision you make takes you either closer to that future or further from that future or makes no noticeable or tangible difference. Those are the only 3 outcomes. And you need to take many steps towards your desired future and minimize the amount of steps the opposite direction. But without a destination in mind, you don't know where to go. But you must become emotionally invested in this end goal. And trust me, as someone that has been there, when you lose all the weight, you are going to discover that is not the thing that makes you happy. Not at all. Not at all. I truly hope everybody loses all of their weight. I hope everybody gets into the body of their dreams so that they can look in the mirror and realize that this is not what will make you happy. This is not what's going to bring you the joy in life. One of the things I did differently is when I visualized my future, I said, I want to be happy. I'll be happy when the weight is gone. And that led to me thinking, but I want to be happy now. What is it about losing weight that is required for me to be happy? And I began to realize the only thing that would happen when I lost all the weight is I would go within myself to within my own mind, and I would grant myself permission to feel something. And I got to thinking, why am I waiting? If I am going to cross some line that I determined in the future where I will then grant myself permission to feel that which I truly, deeply desire to feel now, why not do it now? Why not do it now? And that is something that was born out of visualization. I could go visualize in my mind and not just visualize the scene, but visualize the emotions I wanted to feel. Visualize what thoughts I wanted to have about myself. Visualize the kind of life I'd like to be living. How would I carry myself? How would I walk? How would I talk? What kind of environment would it be like inside my head? Let's start working our way there now. Now understand, I was so habitually conditioned to not think highly of myself that even though I found a moment where I could grant myself the permission to be at peace with myself, it slipped away very, very easily. I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and I'd be my old self. Or some event would happen, it would trigger me and I would slip back into that unconscious state, having forgotten where I am going. And I fall victim to my habit energy, letting the old thoughts take over yet again. But it is there that I would have to reconnect with the vision of my future and go, I am feeling this way, and that is not how I want to feel. I want to feel that way. and allow me to create the emotion within myself. And I discovered one of the most tremendously powerful tools for triggering this new emotional state, this more empowering emotional state, is the emotion of gratitude. Gratitude, I discovered, is a tremendously powerful emotion. And there is always something to be grateful for, because every day above dirt is a great day to be alive and a day worth being grateful for. And I began to express gratitude for just being here, for just being alive, for just getting to experience the joy and the privilege of being a human, of feeling emotions of all their different varieties, from the pleasant to the unpleasant, recognizing that none of them are good and nor are any of them bad. They are just emotions, and I like to live some of them more than others, but none of them are bad because they all mean that I am alive and I am experiencing life. And it is through this that I discovered that I'm not actually chasing happiness, but instead I'm chasing joy and peace with myself, regardless of what is happening to me or around me in my life. If you want to master your weight, you must master your mindset. Failure to master your mindset will result in shaky results if you even get them at all. Remember, to get results you've never had, you must do things you've never done. And to get yourself to do things that you've never done, you're going to have to think things you've never thought.